Hey everybody, Tyson here for another Saturday episode, and today I've got a fun one. It's from Harvard Business Review. Um, if anyone doesn't subscribe or at least occasionally read a Harvard Business Review article, I think they do a pretty good job on most things. So, before I get to what I want to talk about today, though, because I think it's going to be fun, we're going to talk about writing meaningful thank you notes. So it's gonna be fun. Before I get to that, though, we have been doing something for a little bit. I think it's pretty cool, and the episodes that we're doing this on are going to start to go live pretty quickly. What we've done is we've opened up submissions on everything from starting to running a law firm so that we can answer those on a future episode. And if you're just sitting there dreaming of starting your own law firm, working for someone else, or you are knee deep in the trenches and you could really use a lifeline, or you're somewhere in between there, doesn't matter. Just all you have to do is lines are open. If you go to maximumlawyer.com/ask, and for you younger kiddos, I don't even know if you know what lines are open is, what that means. But for those of you that do know what it means, all you have to do, go to maximumlawyer.com/ask, and you can submit your question there or comment, whatever you want to do. And we will get to it if we can. Also, as always, if you want to text me, just shoot me a text at 314-501-9260. Love hearing from everybody, so shoot me a text, and I'd love to talk to you. All right, so let's get to today's episode, and it's about the 5 tips for writing meaningful thank you notes, which I think this is a good one because I like writing thank you notes. I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of different kinds of thank you notes depending on the person I'm sending it to. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll even just I did this one year. It was probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago now, where Missouri Lawyers Weekly, I think, is who had done it, and it was women's lawyer awards on a variety of different things. So I took every single one of them, I cut them out, and then I sent them a nice little note. I know that's not a thank you note, but it's kind of a variation of it. It's more of a congratulatory note, but any note, handwritten note, means a lot. Even if you type up a letter, I guess that means a lot too. But a handwritten note means a ton. And whenever I saw this, I said, you know what, this would be a good one because I could always get better at writing my thank you notes. And so I think that this would be a good one. And most of you, whenever you've gotten a thank you note, you know how much it means to you. So that's why we're going to cover it. And if you're not sending out thank you notes, I highly recommend that you do. All right. So I'm also, as we go through these, I'm going to give my thoughts on it too. I'm not just going to read it, and then I'm not going to be reading from the article. If you want to read the actual article, read the article. I do want to respect that, but I'm going to give my thoughts on it as well. The first tip is take time to reflect. And whenever I first saw this one, I'm thinking like, ugh, it's one of those things where we're so busy. Sometimes it's hard to just say, oh yeah, I'm going to take some time to reflect. But I would say that it is something that's really important. There have been times where I've just kind of fired off a really quick, hey, great catching up with you at lunch. Thanks for buying lunch or something like that. And it's, I could have spent some more time on it. Here's the thing, in my opinion, getting out a thank you note is better than not getting out a thank you note. So whether you, even if you have to rush through it, get it out the door. Now, that being said, if you do have time to reflect on it a little bit, on whatever you're thanking them for, that is optimal. I will say that is optimal. But in the real world, we also, sometimes what will happen is we'll think about writing the thank you note, or we'll have intentions to writing the thank you note. And you all know who I'm talking about. You have the intentions to write the thank you note. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. And then it never goes out because I've taken time to reflect. Get it out the door. That's my tip. Okay. Get it out the dang door. All right. The next one, and I really like this one. I can't say I'm great at doing this. Thank those who are often forgotten. So thank those who are often forgotten. I think this is fantastic. It could be the security guard as you're going through the courthouse, you may not have their mailing address, but you see them quite a bit. You can hand them the thank you note. And so there's people that you see that sometimes are just kind of, they're not necessarily in the shadows, but you notice them, you talk to them quite a bit, but they're probably never thanked. If you think about it, I'm thinking about, I don't know why I'm thinking about TSA agents, but I highly doubt that TS agents are thanked that often when it comes to the job that they have to do. It's probably not the funnest job. They probably deal with a lot of cranky people, but I'm talking about people like that, like that are doing a really important job. They don't really get thanked that much. So I think this is a good one. Thank those who are often forgotten. It's a great tip. The next one is, and I do love this. I'm going to give the next two together because I think that they are somewhat similar. They're not the same, but they are somewhat similar. The third one's be specific, and then the fourth one is make it matter. All right, and so putting in details is, when it comes to be specific, is what they're talking about. So make sure you're obviously thanking them for whatever it was. So let's say it was dinner. That's the example that they use in the article. So thanking them for dinner. But then what you're going to want to do is something that influenced you during the dinner. So mention something about that. So, hey, Jim, thanks so much for dinner. Really appreciated it. Your tips on video marketing really are going to help me a lot, and so I just want to take a second to thank you for that. Something like that. So you're mentioning something very specific that happened during it. All right. So make it matter means, the way I would put it, and this isn't the way they put it, is try to move them in some way. Either make them laugh or make them reflect, make them cry if you need to. Almost, if you think about the way Disney does a Disney movie, make it matter in that way. So make it meaningful. So whatever you put in there, and they gave an example of someone that had made a difficult decision, and they put in there how they had made the right decision and how they had handled it with dignity. So you are in that situation, they're reinforcing what they had done and it had given them that sense of pride. So they had moved them in some capacity, so that's the difference between the two. And so, be specific, but then also make it matter. That's why they're very closely related. And so, that's why I wanted to talk about them together, because they are very, very similar. And then the last tip number 5, it's never too late. And this is something that I can tell you I am bad about, where I will feel bad about it not going out the door, and then I won't send it. And so this is one that I could certainly get better at. It is, I'll have this list of thank you notes that I want to write, and not all of them will go out. Some of them will go out, not all of them will go out. And I do think that this is right. Even if it's years later, they'll eventually get it and they'll appreciate it no matter what, whether it is years later or weeks later or days later. Getting it is getting it, and it's better than not getting it. So I think that is something that I think we should all do that. So real quick, let me go through these. If you are taking notes, take time to reflect is number 1. Thank those who are often forgotten, number 2. Number 3, be specific. Number 4, make it matter. And number 5, it's never too late. This was an article, by the way, I did not mention this, by Sally Sussman, and she is the Executive Vice President and Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at Pfizer. This episode has been brought to you by Pfizer. Just kidding. It has not been. I better not say that. That is all I have for you today. As a reminder, make sure you do text me. I would love to hear from you. If you have something you want me to cover on the podcast, shoot me a text at 314-501-8260. I'm sorry, 314-501-9260. 9260. I don't want to get that wrong. 314-501-9260. I would love to hear from you. Until next week, remember that consistent action is the blueprint that turns your goals into reality. Take care, everybody.